Punching a clock every day in corporate America just isn't my calling, and I'm not going to reach my full potential punching a clock. When I told people I was going to Africa in 2011, people thought I was on crack. People were like, "What's gotten into you? Are you crazy? What you smoking?"
And my guest today is Prince Dynast Abefe Adewale Amir, filmmaker, author, and founder of Danfo, an African travel and cultural brand. Prince Dynast Abefe Adewale Amir's journey began in 2011 when he first traveled to Zanzibar and fell deeply in love with Africa. Leaving behind his career in corporate America, he embarked on a transformative quest to reconnect with his African heritage. Today, Dynast is dedicated to building pathways for others to rediscover their roots and experience the authentic beauty of Africa. I watched your film yesterday. I
So you
watched.
finally watched. You got in.
Yes, we're going to get there. We're going to talk a lot
Okay.
about that.
But I'm glad you actually got to watch it because when you text me and said that you're having issues
Yes,
viewing it through the site, I want to make sure everybody gets that experience and they get to watch it. That's the purpose of, being able to stream it through the site. So I'm glad that you
yes.
were
Thank you.
able
Thank you
to.
for all the images you've been gathering. But let's go back to you, corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the people that we at Joadri, we're a platform and our mission is to help African youth harness their ideas to become entrepreneurs for the upliftment of the African continent. And most of the um, people that come to us, they want to be entrepreneurs or they're already entrepreneurs. They want to start something. And sometimes many of them are stuck somewhere. I know that personally. It's either you're just so comfortable where you are and you
Right.
don't want to live it, or the world has to crumble on you before you make a move. So we're in bold move here on the podcast. So I'm wondering, you've got this job in corporate America.
Mm-hmm. Making good
You got,
money.
yes, tell us
Expense
about it.
account, expense account, gas paid for, car paid for, making sales, making good money. Yeah.
Why would you choose?
401, 401k, benefits, the whole nine. Yeah.
And then you choose to stop the job, quit the job.
Well, you brought up either you get comfortable or the walls cave in or close in. So with me, the wall started caving in. And what happened, so let me back up. 2017, the company I was working for at the time, Centos, we had a major acquisition of our competitor called G&K. So one of the questions I asked after we acquired, the company was, well, they had sales reps as well, competing sales reps,
Yeah.
and our territories overlap, but we were separate companies and we would, compete against each other. So now since we're absorbing them, how's that going to work? Like, are we going to share that territory or how's that going to look like? And then we have a new location and, what's going to happen with their
Yeah.
sales reps. So I didn't get an answer. That was 2017. No, I'm sorry. That was 2016, I believe. It was 2016, I believe. 2017, October 2017, I'm in Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
And so at the time, we had like protected territory. So, the territory is yours, you canvass the territory, cold call to uncover business, sell business. 2000, I'm in Cote d'Ivoire. I think this is like October 2017. Even though I'm on vacation, like it's kind of like I'm still working because I'm still checking my emails and stuff, my work emails. So I get an email from my manager. We made the decision to like half of your territory is going to the new location that we acquired. So basically, my territory got cut in half.
Mm.
Already before that, I was at the point I guess they say it's called a glass ceiling. I'm like, well, you know, I can't continue to do this. Like punching a clock every day in corporate America just isn't my calling. And I'm not going to reach my full potential punching a clock.
Mm.
So I had already mentally checked out. I was just going through the motions. I was the top sales rep, number one in the company back in fiscal year 2014. I was doing well. Then around 2017, I just checked out to the
Mm.
point where, I was getting called into the office by my boss, like, listen, Dynast, you need to perform. What's going on? Like I was having those heart to heart conversations, but of course I didn't tell him like I checked out mentally. I'm just there physically going through the motions. So I wasn't mad that my territory got cut in half. It was more of this is a sign that it's time for me to go out on my own and figure things out.
Mm.
So I stayed with the company for another year. And then October 2018, I put in my 2 weeks and said, I got to go. And I knew corporate America wasn't for me because even I had opportunities with other companies to go work for them, making more money, but I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Like I'll inquire or they'll reach out to me and it was, everything sound good, but it's just I wanted my freedom.
You wanted something more.
Right.
Yes, and but now you tell me that you were on vacation already in Cote d'Ivoire.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you've already had the idea of I want to go to the African continent. So where did that start? Because you were born in California and your
Sacramento.
dad, yeah, your dad used to go to Liberia when you were a
Uh-huh.
child. So did that in any way awaken your thoughts towards the African continent?
So I started. So when I graduated from University of Georgia in 2006, I was a personal trainer at a gym in Athens, Georgia, called the Omni. During that time, I was told, like, listen, I played football and ran track at the University of Georgia, and some of my former teammates they got jobs with it's called pharmaceutical sales.
Mm.
And all they would do, they had a car that was paid for, they had an expense account. Literally, they would just go to doctor's offices, drop off Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a fast food chain here
Mhm.
in America, and and they would just fill prescriptions, drugs, and just deliver prescriptions. That's all they would do. They were making good money. So I said, you know what? I want one of those jobs. Sounds easy because I would go on ride-alongs with them. So I would interview. The guy told me, you know what, Dynast, you don't have enough sales experience. I said, okay. I'm getting to your question. I just got to build it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
We've got time.
Okay, okay. So I would go back and forth to interview with a manager with a pharmaceutical sales company. He told me, Dynast, you don't have enough sales experience. During that time, I wanted to model as well. So I'm pursuing the entertainment industry, but at the same time, I needed to make money to feed myself. So I ended up getting a job with a company called Aflac, selling insurance,
Okay.
100% commission. Do pretty well. So I'm in Atlanta at the time. Then I decide I want to move to LA to pursue entertainment. So 2008, I leave Georgia. I go to LA. Chasing entertainment industry. I didn't like it. I didn't like the attitudes. I didn't like the stuff. I couldn't stand it. Was on my last going broke. I'm like, you know what? I need to get a job. So I start interviewing for jobs. I end up getting hired by a company called Centos.
Mm.
First couple months, I struggled, but then I get in the groove and I'm doing good. So I started making real good money. So I called a friend of mine, Fitzgerald Stevens. I'm like, hey, I'm making good money. Um, what should I do? He said, take a vacation.
Okay.
I said, okay. He said, go on a cruise. I said, you know what? No, I'm going to go to Brazil because, all my single bachelor friends, they go to Brazil and they have a ball, read between the lines. So
I watched the film.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
explained.
Yeah, so I um I had it planned out. There was a girl who went to the University of Georgia with me. I went to the University of Georgia, Go Dogs in Athens, alumni. And she's Brazilian. She was like, you know what, Dynast, you could come with me and we'll have a great time. I said, cool. Had it all planned out. December 2011, I'm going to Brazil with her. She calls me probably like, we had this planned out probably, we'll say April 2011. She calls me around May and says, you know what, Dynast, I can't go. I can't make it. Something came up. I said, okay. So I told another friend of mine, his name is Yishak. I'm like, listen, I want to travel somewhere. Where should I go? This is 2011. He said, go to Africa. I said, okay. Where? He said, go to Tanzania. I said, okay. Why? He said, go. I've been going, you have a great time. I got people there, just go. So I started to research Tanzania, and there's an island off the coast of Tanzania called Zanzibar. At that time in LA was a popular nightclub called Zanzibar. At that time, like the main DJ at that club, Zanzibar, was a DJ named Jeremy Soleil. White guy, white brother. Jeremy Soleil, now this is a white guy, is the one who introduced me to Afrobeat back in 2011. Not really Afrobeat. No, so Jeremy Soleil, he had like a night at Zanzibar. This is back in 2011, 2000, into 2010, where he would play Fela. That's how I got introduced to Fela. I got introduced to Fela Kuti back in 2011 from a DJ named Jeremy Soleil. And then, like, once a month, he would throw these parties called the Lift. And the parties, you won't find out the location to the day of. It was hype. Like the day of, you'll get a random email or text message saying, party here. It would be like some random warehouse. And all night he would play Afrobeat. Well, I don't know. Afrobeat was really popular in 2011. It was more, he would play like Fela, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Fela and world music. That's how I was introduced to Fela. So that was like confirmation, the whole Zanzibar and all that, to go ahead and go to Africa. So 2011, I went to Tanzania, fell in love. And every year, like I would plan when I got my 2 weeks vacation, I'm going to Africa.
But why do you think? Because you in America, you've got Black Americans who obviously, also from history, obviously have roots from the African continent. So why do you think the universe had to take you all that journey
What's the
to
universe?
open you up?
Right. But I was already open. So around, so I grew up, so growing up in my household, like I would read Malcolm X,
Mhm.
I read Jomo Kenyatta's biography. This is growing up. So I was already somewhat open, but there weren't people like in my circle kind of pushing me to go to Africa
Mhm.
until I reached out to my brother Yishak, who said, Dynast, you should go to Africa. But I was already like open to it, being a Black American.
And when you got to Zanzibar, what was your first impression? Because I know that the media in the West and in America, they've got a very biased or one side of the story. So what
And
was
this is
your impression?
and this is 2011 before Instagram and people
Yes.
actually document Africa. You can see the real Africa. So yeah, I mean, people. When I told people I was going to Africa in 2011, people thought I was on crack. People were like, "What's gotten into you? Are you crazy? What you smoking? Them folks don't like you." They kidnapping everybody over there. This is kind of like right after Joseph Kony. So of
Mm.
course they're warning me about Joseph Kony. There's a bunch of Joseph Conys running around. I got lions, tigers everywhere. You're gonna get eaten. Like I got everything.
And then
Ready?
you land,
Huh?
and then you get there, and you begin to explore. Because I can tell you, watching your film, researching, following you, and seeing where you've been to, what you're doing, I was like, oh, damn it. I am African. I was born in the African continent. I grew up there. And he's been to more countries than I have. I was like, good, now the challenge starts. You have been to so many African countries that I really, what I took out from your film was, as an African, was I think more people on the African continent, they need to watch it because then you start to think about, oh my God, I've been to more European countries than I've been to countries within Africa. And that's a shame. That's a shame. So I'm wondering, how do you, because sometimes you're just like, you want to go on holiday, then you just look out for the adverts and okay, there's an island here in Croatia, you go there, you go to Italy, you go to the places that they've been offered out there, right? So but going to an African countries, it's not so accessible like through tourism and so on. And then if you don't know someone there, so how do you come up with the idea of like, this is where I want to go? Or did you make it a mission for like the next 10 years or the next 15 years? I'm going to go into Africa and explore all the countries. Was that intentional?
So my first trip in 2011, like I was sold. It's like I'm going to Africa. Whenever I have the opportunity, I'm going to Africa. I'm not going to Europe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vacation because some people they'll vacation to Africa. Yeah, it was great, but next year, me and the family, we're going to go to Italy or we're going to go to Greece or we're going to China. For me, like it was, I'm going to Africa, like, and that's how I am now.
Mm,
Like for me to go somewhere else, I would probably go to Europe, but it'll have to be a layover on my
mm,
way to Africa. I haven't been to the Caribbean yet. I've been to Mexico to Cancun, but that was on somebody's dime. That was through my company.
yeah.
My company I work for. They was, fly us there for, the top performing sales reps. But I have like people like Dynast, you should go check out Thailand. I'm like, I have
Mm.
no I'm going to Africa. Like I have really no intention to go anywhere else unless, it's like Dynast, we paying for it, we paying you, come out here. Like if it's my money, I'm going to Africa.
What are you looking for? What are you in search of?
So 2011, when I went to Tanzania, so I flew from LA. This is back when I lived in Los Angeles. So I flew it was British Airways, I believe, or American Airlines, I forgot, from LA to Heathrow. Then from Heathrow on British Airways to Dar es Salaam.
Mm.
I remember we landed in Dar es Salaam, and I think this is the first time that there wasn't a what's the name of the bridge that connects you to the airplane from the airport where you could just it's like the bridge or whatever it's called. Yeah, whatever it's called. The bridge. I don't know what it's called. The bridge. So we land in Dar es Salaam. And so I'm expecting, we get off the plane, we walk the bridge into the airport. But we get off on a tarmac. That's like the first
Yeah.
time ever getting down off the tarmac. I'm like, okay. So we walk into passport control. It's like 110 degrees. There was no AC. Get my bags, go through passport control, get my visa, and I walk out the airport. And I'm like, I'm here. And so, the locals, selling SIM cards. Do you need taxi? And so one of them came up to me, started speaking Swahili. And I'm like, I don't understand. Then he was like, where are you from? Next day, then another guy came up. He was like, you look South African. I'm like, no. Like, are you Ghanaian? I was like, no.
You know, Nigeria.
Nigerian. I was like, well, at the time, no.
Yeah.
He said, where are you from? I was like, I'm Black American. They're like, no, 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 no. Where are you from? I was like, I'm Black American. They're like, no, 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 no. What tribe are you from? And I said, I don't know. Because at the time, I didn't know.
And how did that feel?
That's when the journey started, search for Uhuru, because I had to uncover that.
Hmm.
Because I'd never been asked that before.
Yeah.
So that's where Search for Uhuru was birthed, right there. One man's journey to uncover his African roots.
And what have you uncovered now?
I'm Yoruba, I'm Minde, I'm Balanta. I am a West African man.
Hmm. And how does
I
that
am a Nigerian man. I am a
go?
Sierra Leonean man.
Yes. And, you know, knowing this now with this information, um, going back to America, how does that have an impact? Does that have an impact in how you carry yourself, how you know and understand yourself?
Well, I'm Black American, but it's like my story because I was Black Americans. We kind of just limit ourselves to okay, we were brought as slaves here to
Mm,
America, and we still here. So like our story is like 400 years. You know, we always talk about 400 years, 400 years.
mm,
Like my story is of 400 years. It didn't begin in America, and it's not going to end here. It's a 400-year period or chapter in like a never-ending novel. So that's what it means to me. Like when I come here, it's like I'm not limited to just this identity here in America. Like I'm much more. So that's what it means for me.
What do you want to do with this? With
So so when I first started, so this is back in 2011. This is before like YouTubers were documenting Africa. And so I remember like 2011, I put some pictures up on Facebook and people were like hitting me up. Yo, whoa, you went to Africa? Whoa, how'd you get there? I didn't know they had planes that went there. Like they got hotels. Were they cool? Were the people cool? Were the Africans cool?
and these are Black Americans asking you that,
These are
or
and see, and this is the shocking part. Not only Black Americans, this is the so-called conscious community in Black America. Do you know Black Power? You know,
Mhm.
the Black man, Egypt, and we taught the white man everything in Egypt, and the black. This is the conscious community. So
Mm,
not just the normal Black Americans. This is the conscious community that are asking all these questions, which I'm like, how did you not know this?
mm.
So it went from like my personal journey through documenting to like I'm gonna take everybody on my journey. So like it turned to like building my own personal bridge to building a bridge for everyone,
Mm,
for humanity to go and enjoy Africa. Like you're missing out.
mm.
So that's kind of how it flipped.
Okay, and I often think and ask myself that we have so many African diasporas around the world, not just in the US. You have a big community in the UK. And now in Western Europe, you have so many, you even have second, third generations
Mm.
here. And on the other side, you have a whole lot of um, potential and open opportunities happening in the continent, in Africa. But here, for example, in Europe, the population, they're growing old. So in 20, 30 years, you're not going to have enough people paying into the system to keep the pension and the whole system. So now there is a kind of recruitment agenda from like Canada, from the US, especially the UK, English speaking European and Western countries, to go to the African continent and take young people out of the continent, lure them out of the continent to come do jobs like care jobs and areas where you really need labor now. And this is also with the vision of in 20 years' time, we will need people to be paying into the system in Europe. So what do you say about this? Because I'm thinking the whole time also with my business is how do we convince, mobilize the diaspora with the knowledge and financial resources available to us now? Take it rather to the African continent to build so that young people do not have that urge to want to, take all their knowledge to build another continent. How do you, what's your perspective on this?
So I'm gonna say something that's controversial.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there's a such thing called African brain drain.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's enough talent on the continent when I'm in especially when I'm in Nigeria.
Yes.
Man, there are so many talented, just amazing, smart Nigerians that I'm like, look, people say that, the brain drain and Africans leavings affected the continent. I don't. There's enough talent right there for Nigeria, whether it be Sierra Leone, whether it be Ghana, to be fine without its diaspora.
Okay.
That's just me personally. But anyways, when my so Booker T. Washington, shout out to Tyree Wright. She wrote a book called "The Making of a Pan Africanist," about Booker T. Washington. He had a initiative. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but it was called the Tuskegee Method, I believe. I think it was called the Tuskegee Method. So what he would do, he would bring African immigrants to Tuskegee University under the condition that you come, you develop the skills, you learn, but you go back to your country and develop your country. So that's where I stand. Come to the West, get your money, get your bag, do what you need to do, but go back. But if you decide not to, you decide you're going to make America your home, Europe your home, Canada your home, that's fine.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's none of my business. That's fine. Because again, I really think that there's enough talent on the continent for the continent to be great. Like, this idea that Africa's not going to make it without its diaspora, I don't believe it. From what I see and what I've experienced on the continent, I think Africa will be fine without the diaspora.
Good. That's good to hear. That's good to put out there. And you started or you transited, I think that was shortly before COVID and your tour business.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Why did you start it in the first place? Because you could just take a couple of friends, go enjoy the places you've been to.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So when I received my title in Nigerian, Odoruo is Omoba of Odoruo, Nigeria. One of my like responsibilities is to bring awareness to the kingdom.
Mm.
So I said, best way to do it is to bring people. So 2019, I brought a group to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. And then I'm like, well, let me just keep bringing people. So was bringing groups to Nigeria. Then I brought a group to Sierra Leone. Now we've expanded to Senegal, to a group to Zanzibar. And now the focus is all over the continent. But, primarily West Africa. I'm a West Africa. I'm very partial to West Africa. I love West Africa.
Yeah, me too. I love
Uh,
Nigeria. I love West Africa, but I'm in love with Nigeria. But Nigeria,
Listen, so I had somewhat. So I make sure I go to Nigeria at least once a year. When I in 2018, 2019, I was going to Nigeria like 4 times a year. Then it was back to like maybe once a year. But uh I'm gonna start going back more, at least 3 to 4 times a year. So I was just there in January. I'm going back in May. Then I'll be back in August. Then I'm gonna try to get back again before the year is up again. I love that country. Like I love Nigeria.
yes, same here. It's like you've got everything, everything. You've got the energy, the the people, the ideas, the way, the mentality, the craziness. There's so much going on in Nigeria that I really do love. I was in Nigeria 6 times last year, but that was all work, work, work. Yes, but now I'm based literally in Nigeria. So now I have been thinking about it for, I think, the last 10 years because I was schooled or brought up in a Christian family,
Okay.
very Christian family. Well,
Okay.
no, just my mum, actually. My dad was just in between.
Okay.
And I actually went to a Christian primary school and, a school where you had to wake up in the morning and go to the assembly and pray, read a Bible verse. That's how strict it was. And went to a kindergarten, a Catholic kindergarten. And
I went
so,
to Catholic high school.
sorry?
I went to Catholic high school. I went to Christian, and I went to a Christian school from really from kindergarten all the way to high school. Like I went to a private Christian school, so
Yeah, well, I was not so interested anyway in what was being preached. So I was more interested in just like exploring stuff in my brain, in my head, my imaginations. So I always came up, and I dreamt a lot, and I always came up with things that were probably not in the Bible. So
Mhm.
like that was not good for my mom. But when I grew older and I moved to Lagos very young on my own, I didn't have time to deliberate on religion and all these things. I just had to survive and do what I needed to do. And then I came to Europe and I started exploring. Before I came to Europe, shortly before, actually, just like 4 months before, I was lured into doing like a ritual, a 7-day ritual.
Okay.
And because, God, that's a long story, wrote a book about it. But I remember that it was very traumatizing in a very negative way because I did not understand the process. It was involuntary, I was forced into it. And after the ritual, but something happened to me. I know that something happened in a sense of I felt something for the first time. Like I felt something more, everything I've been hearing and been preached to as a child, I was not interested. But after the ritual, I felt something. So when I got to Europe, I had a bit of headspace and I started researching about what did that woman do? She will wake me up in the morning, bring some plants, and we do stuff and we dance and I go into trance. I was like, because I had a science background actually, I want to understand. So I started researching active plant substances, how this is being used, and how sound is being used in the body frequency and everything. And I got to realize that was the first time I started like appreciating because I started understanding some of the things and accepting that I don't have to understand everything to appreciate it. And I got to realize how much power not in the sense of supernatural now, but just power in the sense of the knowledge of how to use your herbs around you that grow around you, the knowledge of how to embrace and build tribes and community, the knowledge of how to celebrate spirituality that was being done that I experienced. It's so powerful. It's so healing. And there is so much.
potential in it, and it's so empowering. But so I went back.
Mhm.
And because now I now that I know a bit more and I'm doing it voluntarily, so I went back to start exploring and learning and and then I saw your video. Of course, my mom is going to watch this and she's going to faint now after hearing all the things I said. Yes, I went back. So then I saw your videos, and in the film I saw so many from so many different African countries because I only know Nigeria. And that really brought me to the point where I have to ask you so many questions on spirituality.
Go ahead.
Now, how is it for you being brought up in a Christian family, being schooled about the devilish aspect of these traditions? So, how was it for you, like the first encounter?
Well, see, I wasn't necessarily brought up in a Christian household. I just went
Okay.
to a Christian school. So my mother, her work hours, she needed to find a school where she could drop me off early.
Yeah.
So the school that had that just happened to be a Christian school.
Okay.
My mom was a Christian. My grandma was Christian. She went to church, but they didn't force like any of that on me. Like, I mean, I learned it, I studied in the school, but it wasn't really never forced on me. I wasn't necessarily brought up in a Christian household. I just went to a Christian school. Once I got to college, like I kind of had questions about, well, really in high school. I mean, I identified as a Christian, but I still had always had I had questions. So I had more of an open mind,
Mm.
you know, to other trains of thought when it comes to religion. So Islam, I dabbled in Islam. I've read about several and studied several spirituality systems. So I've always had an open mind.
Mm.
Then once you study like the role Christianity played in slavery and colonialism,
Mm.
then you start asking like, okay, how is this good, but this over here, which is ours, is bad?
Mm.
Something's not right. So me, I've always been big on go to the source. So I was in where was I? I believe I was in Mali. This was 2016. Either Mali or I was in Kenya. And I was what was I doing? I was so usually what I would do, because I would usually be so depressed at the end of my trip, my vacation in Africa, that I had to go back to America. I start planning for my next vacation. So I'm in Kenya or I'm in Mali. I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do in 2017. So I don't know how it popped up, but the image of the Voodoo Festival in there, Gugu.
Mm.
I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but I saw it, and I love masquerades. I love masquerades. Like, this is a Gugu right here. Like I love masquerades. So I saw this photo of a Gugu, and it was at the Voodoo Festival. I said, I'm going.
Mm.
So I went, and while I was there, I met with different voodoo priests, Ifa priests. I just asked questions like, hey, what is voodoo? Why do people consider it evil? What's it really about? Is it witchcraft? Is it money charm? And that's all I did. Just a conversation with people who actually practice it. And it was all good. Same thing with Ifa. Went to Nigeria 2018 for the Oshun Festival. Okay, feeding Ifa, the sacrifice. Like, what's all this mean? And all the answers made sense. It was no hocus pocus, devil worship. It was all like, okay. And then when you look at what we practice and you compare it to Islam, Judaism, they do the same shit.
Yeah.
They do the same stuff.
Yeah. I was shocked
Like,
to
yeah,
realize
yeah, yeah.
that.
So like
Yeah.
sacrificing goats and lambs, they do that in Islam and in Judaism.
No, apart from that, well, when you talk about sacrificing animals, have you been to a slaughterhouse in Europe? Seriously?
I've been to one in America.
Yes, so everybody eating meat should not talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to one in
Yeah, so
America.
yeah, so I actually got to appreciate the fact that there is a whole process around slaughtering the animal, and there is a value to it. I remember growing up, it's not that my parents couldn't afford meat, but we had another relationship to consuming than the relationship I see now, you know. So yes. And you know, when you did you ever tell your friends or your family about your explorations then with voodoo in
Listen, I have, you know what's funny? So I have a friend. She's a Christian, reborn again Christian. The only time she would pray for me when I traveled is when I was telling her that I'm going to the voodoo festival.
oh, that's
And She,
lovely.
she, she would pray for me like, oh, just the evil spirits, the evil spirits. A couple days ago, we're talking, and she's a born again Christian, but she has questions now about the religion, and she started to bring up like African spirituality. I'm like, whoa.
She's watched too
Now
much
she,
videos.
but now she's open to it,
Mm,
learning more, and not just limited to the spirituality part. Africa overall, like from 2011, people thought I was that just crazy. Now they're like, okay, Dynast, I see what you see.
mm,
Some are going.
mm.
So it's just over time, it's changed.
Yes, but as an entrepreneur or someone that has an idea and you want to start the idea and you tell someone or you take a move and people see it and they think you're crazy, it's impossible, why are you doing it? But how do you cope with that and still pull through, follow through and do it? Don't you feel, don't you get like, discouraged? How do you keep yourself on track?
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm,
And like I already know just with anything and everything, you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have doubters, you're gonna have people who don't agree with you, you're gonna have blockage. That's just part of it. But funny story. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I have my moments where I got to vent. So I have like several people on my phone or I'll call when I got to vent. And I was talking to him like, man, this person said this, that person said that. Oh man, I can't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. And he stopped me. He said, well, what about me? What about so and so who supports you? What
mm.
about us? That's messed up, Dynast. And I had to fall back and say, you're right.
To see where your support is coming from,
Right.
refocus, that's one of your strategies that you use, right?
Exactly.
Yes. And what has been a moment and where, I don't know where in Africa, but where and what has been a moment that you will say, this is what I've been looking for?
Like I said at the beginning, this is a chapter
Mhm.
in a never ending novel. And like when I land in Lagos, when I'm on A Sky or Air Cote d'Ivoire or Delta or Ethiopian Airlines or Egypt Air, and I'm landing at Murtala Muhammad or Lungwe Airport in Sierra Leone in Freetown, I still get goosebumps.
Mm.
So like the chapter isn't over yet. It's something now I'm learning. I learn something new every time I go.
So, what would you tell someone that has this feeling,
Mhm.
like you did a couple of years ago? They want more. They want to connect with the roots. They want to go to one African country. what would you tell them from your experience now? You've been doing this for years. How would you tell them to prepare? Or do they need to prepare or not?
I call it over analysis
Mhm.
leads to was a pair don't overcomplicate it.
Okay.
People will call me, Dynast, I want to go to Africa, but I gotta see if my mama want to come with me. I gotta see if my girlfriends want to come. I gotta see if my aunties and my cousins want to come. I'm like, listen, number one, you're an adult. You can travel by yourself. And when it comes to Africa, sometimes it has to be a personal journey,
Mm,
a lonely road getting there.
mm,
Like if I waited for friends and family to come with me to Africa, we wouldn't be here right now.
yes.
I would still be in corporate America, probably. Search for Who wouldn't exist. Like I wouldn't have this chapter. So sometimes you just got to go on your own. You'll be fine. You will be fine. As far as safety goes, I mean, we live in some of the most dangerous cities in America. You'll be fine in Africa. You'll be just fine. Them folks ain't worried about you. Like one girl told me, she was concerned about going to Sierra Leone because she thought she was going to get kidnapped. I had to tell her, like, who are you? Who wants to kidnap you? Who are you? Like, where do you get this stuff from? Like, who are you?
Mm.
So, so yeah, just go
And how long would you suggest?
as long as you can stay.
Okay.
Yeah, I stayed as long as I can. In fact, the second time I went to Africa in 2012, I overstayed my vacation. And I get a call from my manager, like, where are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm in Namibia. He's like, Dynast, you only get 2 weeks. You going on week 3. I'm like, oh, my bad.
What do you do? What you do all day? What you do all day, for example, when you're in Nigeria? Because I know what you did trying to go to Kilimanjaro and getting yourself down with a wheelbarrow. But I think you went again, right? You
No. So I want to go back and climb it this year, hopefully. So I'm taking a group to Zanzibar
okay.
in September. So after that, I want to go back and climb it. Like I've been meaning to go back and climb it. In fact, I was supposed to go back and climb it in 2014, had it all planned. I ended up missing my flight. So I thought, yeah. Because I thought I was gonna fly out like on like a Thursday, but the flight left like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And that just I don't know where I went from there. Like it just threw everything off. I think I ended up going, yeah, I don't know what happened. But yeah, needless to say, it didn't happen. So
So what you do every day when you're in Lagos, in Nigeria, for example, what you do?
I'm exploring. Like kind of like running a lot of errands because there's stuff I want to get before I go back to America. As far as like seeing tailors and buying, got to get stuff for my mom. But usually I'm exploring, but I want to document more just of Legos and Nigeria in general. Because Nigeria is just such a beautiful. I love Nigeria. Now, of course, Nigeria has its issues, but
Mm,
I don't think that should stop anybody from going. Like I had one guy talk to a couple of weeks ago because I know I'm bringing a group to Nigeria in August. Talked to him. In fact, it was this week I spoke to him. He said, "Man, I was watching the news, man, and Nigeria ain't safe." And I have to tell people like, listen, if Nigeria was that bad, I wouldn't go. Like if it was that bad, I would not go, and I would not put people in danger.
yeah. No, Nigeria is okay. It's good. I mean, you can't, what I tell people is because I also get lots of people like, what are you looking for? Why are you always traveling to Nigeria? I mean, it's comfortable here, but people that are afraid, I tell them, you know what could happen? You could just slip down that staircase and that's it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. True.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, and you can't control that. So if you can't control that, then why not? Why not explore? So I'm going to go to, I have a friend now who moved. She literally left Austria and she relocated to South Africa, but now she's relocated to Sao Tome and Principe.
Okay.
This is, this is the
I'm
most,
sorry.
have you heard about it?
I've heard about it. I've never been, but I've seen the pictures.
It's like the most beautiful island. I've never been there, but she sent me pictures. We've done a video thing together, so I get to say that's on my list for this year. And so there are lots of places to go to, but I do not want to go just to explore as a tourist.
Right.
That's maybe why I'm stuck with Nigeria. I just want to be on the stay there, build a space for myself there.
Right.
And so where's your business going? What do you want to, accomplish with your business? What are your plans?
Well, so there's several businesses, but as far as the travel business, like I wanted to be not just, me taking people back and forth to Africa. I wanted to be more of a brand. So a
Mm,
travel brand. And I want to market Africa. And then, one of the opportunities or services
yeah.
is that I'll take you there too. But I want to turn it into a brand. So we're more of like a marketing agency for Africa. But then we have a service where we'll take you there. So
Okay. Okay. And
and I wanted to be the number one travel brand when it comes to Africa in the world. Like I'm focused on Africa. Like, I'm not Central America, South America as far as bringing people there, other places. It's strictly African.
and I see that you say in your film you talk a lot about your journey to find yourself, to find your roots and discover more about you. So if you have friends or clients that want to explore that as well, when you go somewhere, you experience that energy and that space, and it's something new. It might do something to you at that moment, right? But when you get back to the US or to Europe, you fall into your grind again.
Right, 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 right.
So how do you navigate that?
Well, I'm not in corporate America anymore, so I'm not really on the grind anymore.
Lucky you.
I mean, I'm still grinding, but it's not grind as far as corporate America because I'm doing what I want to do. So I navigate that by still being engaged, having conversations like with you,
Oh,
having conversations with you on topics like this. So that's how I navigate it. Just still focused on the continent, but I'm just happy to be here in America currently.
okay. And what's your we always ask the guests to share one special quote on resilience, something that you
Hmm.
resonate with.
Resilience. One thing, in fact, one thing my manager used to tell me when I was at Centos in corporate America, he would say like in your personal life, there's going to be times where that bank account is going to be kind of short. You're going to be stressing yourself out as far as bills and your sales numbers, but don't let yourself go, like
Mm,
your personal self, like your appearance. Don't let yourself go. You know, that's important. Like, do not let yourself go. You got to be in shape. You got to look good. You still got to put your makeup on. You still got to show. Listen, you still got to show up.
yeah, you still got to represent. Oh,
You got
that's
to
Nigeria. That's
yeah.
Nigeria for you.
Listen. You still got to show up.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a good one, especially for people who have ideas and they want to start. Yeah, you still got to show up, no matter what is
Yeah.
happening. behind. But now you're exploring actually a new industry, like the tourism industry. What are like key lessons that you can share that you've gained, that you've learned in the last 3, 4 years now doing this? What would
You
you say?
got you got to
Yeah.
be you got to be patient with people.
Okay. Really? Really?
Yeah, you got to be patient. You got to be. I mean, you're dealing with different personalities, so sometimes you
Yes.
have to be patient. And like people, if people have told me like, Dynast, I don't know how you do it and deal with people. I'm like, well, I've done sales, so I've always been dealing with people. So you just got to be patient.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. You got to be patient with people.
Is that something that you could say you took away from the corporate job that you're now applying now in your business?
Yes,
What is
definitely.
it?
Um, well, as far as dealing with people, but I mean, it's more like it's I mean, dealing with the travel industry still it's a sales job. You have to still sell people on Africa.
Mm,
And even the symbolic and spiritual part, sometimes it's not enough. It's not enough,
yeah.
you know, because even with the symbolic and spiritual stuff, people are like, well, I'd rather just still go to Mexico.
Mm.
I know I'm African and I know what happened, but shoot, I want to go see the Eiffel Tower. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go
Yeah.
to Bangkok.
Well, why
So
do you think there's the resistance and the fear? Why do you, it can't just be from the media reports or something where
it's the media reports.
seriously, this is 2023,
Hey, Doug, listen,
24, actually.
listen. It's the media report. It's the media. I promise you. I was saying the same thing. In fact, I said this about a year. I said this 4 years ago. People are still using 1970s stereotypes to justify not going to Africa in 2024. People are still using Sally Struthers, skinny kids with big bellies and flies in the 80s to justify not going to Africa in 2024.
Don't you
People are
think?
still people are still using Joseph Kony
Mhm.
and the Sierra Leone Civil War, Liberia Civil War to justify not going to Africa in 2024. Yes. Yes.
What about, I don't know, I'm just thinking like maybe if, or what if the emotional part of knowing history, the enslavement era, having that at the back, and then going on this journey to go to the continent from which you came from, is that not a heavy load for some people to deal with?
When you say heavy load, like
Okay, I grew up in Nigeria, well, uh, part of my life, and I had never ever gone to Badagry
okay.
until I think 10 years ago. So when I
Uh,
went to Badagry, and I went to the Seriki Abbas
yeah,
Museum,
circuit.
Mobi, yeah, and got to have like almost like a first-hand feel of these spaces.
Put the chains on and went to
Yes, and all these
the
things, and I was like, oh my God, this is too much. And I do not have this background, right? So I'm thinking like on one side, I know Gaffa, that's the same, the guy from the Seriki Abbas Museum. He wants to build a tourism for especially Black Americans that want to connect and so on. And I told him, like, I don't know, but um, for some people, it might be of interest in the sense of they want to learn more about history. But another part of me, it's like, this is too much, you know?
Ghana has the
Yeah,
blueprint. Ghana has the blueprint. I was talking to somebody the other day because
yeah.
my tours are focused more integrating into the authentic African culture. We go to the villages. We learn about the traditional religions. Friend of mine told me, he said, Dynast, when I go on vacation, I want to party and have a good time.
Come to
Ghana,
Nigeria.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they're going to Ghana
Okay.
for
Okay.
Dirty December. Go party, have a good time. But I'm just like, why would I go all the way to Ghana just to party? Like a party here in America. But people do what's popular, and people on vacation want to that's number one, the partying. And
Mm-hmm.
then, they'll go to the W. Du Bois Center, they'll go to Kwame Nkrumah Center, they
Mm.
might go to Cape Coast Castle, but the main focus is partying. But I just I don't like on my tours, like the main focus ain't partying. You know, but that's the thing, like people want to party and have a good time.
Okay. So maybe do you think people are like thinking I can't get a party in Africa, so why do I need to go there?
Well, you can, but I guess people want to see more of that. That's why Ghana's doing
Okay.
such a great job, And then we know you can party in Nigeria like better than anywhere,
Yes.
but it's just the stereotypes,
Okay.
you know, is the problem.
So we're still stuck back at the stereotype. So that means what needs to be done? Do you think there needs to be more documentaries, more rebranding? Selling Africa with the diversity what you can experience there.
That's what needs to be done. But it's being done. But people are still just, for every 20 documentaries or influencers that are showing Nigeria in a positive light, you get one negative news story, people will just check out.
But
It's
maybe
just something about Nigeria, man. And I love my country. I love Nigeria. But it's just sometimes when I'm on the phone with people and they tell me why they want to go to Nigeria, I just gotta look at the phone. And then again, I gotta explain. Like if Nigeria was that bad, I would not have set up shop there. I would not go. I would not take people there if it was that bad.
mm, mm.
It was if it was really that bad. But some people they see one story, one negative news story.
There's always going to be something because Nigeria is a place made of more than 220 million people. And yes, you have people who need more to survive, and you have people who are just doing very excellent in their life. So we have this whole spectrum. And so I think,
Right.
yeah, people have to make their choices, and maybe it has less to do with Nigeria. It has more to do with the comfort zone of the person or the
It,
fear.
it, I give you an
Yeah,
example. I give you an example. So you're right. It's the person. It's the person, not Nigeria. It's the person.
yeah.
Because black people, they will still go to Mexico. You got the cartels like
Yeah,
running
you don't have
up
that in
and down.
Nigeria.
You got the cartels. And in
Yeah.
fact, you had last year, you had a black family get murdered in Mexico because they were mistaken for the cartel.
Mm,
Like literally shot up
yeah.
in Mexico. But that's not stopping people. So it's just, again, it's this when it comes to Africa, a lot of people, they're just, I don't. I don't. And I don't want to say brainwashed, and I
Mm,
don't want to say the media because then that's my then you're like pretty much indirectly saying black folks aren't going to Africa in 2024 because it's the white man's fault. I'm like, come on, we
yeah.
give the white man way too much credit. Like, come on, stop it. Our folks are just I don't know. There was a girl who was on she was being interviewed. She was talking about how I think tourism is like a multi-trillion-dollar industry or $1 trillion industry. And she was like, Africa only gets 1%.
Mm,
And it's the safety issue. I'm like, what safety issue? Like, you guys travel to all these countries that aren't safe. Like, I had to tell people, let's do this. Pull up the murder rate in Freetown, Sierra Leone, in Dakar, Senegal, in Accra, Ghana, even in Lagos, Nigeria, for a city of 20 million people, and compare it to Chicago,
mm,
compare it to Atlanta,
mm.
compare it to LA. compared to New York. You'll be like you're safer over there than you are here.
Mm, mm. Yes, but that's why it's so important and beautiful to see people like you doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
documenting it, opening up the space for others to explore. And probably maybe after this call, sometime again, I'll connect you with a friend that is in Sao Tome. She wants to do something similar in Sao Tome. And so
Okay.
I think, yeah, building this network of people like, on the same frequency, I think it will create a more enhanced dynamic for this to tap into.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'm down. Let's connect. Let's build.
Yes, let's build. So we're going to the last three questions,
Mhm.
which I would love you to answer like with a word or a phrase, but good
Okay.
luck.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And probably, well, don't mind me because you might say something and I will draw that into a conversation. So let's go. Name one bold move you've made, something you were so scared of, but you found the courage to do it. Don't say
Well,
go to Africa.
I left corporate America.
Hmm. Why were you
Yeah.
so scared?
I wasn't I wasn't necessarily scared. I was comfortable.
Hmm.
And it was a new because the I guess you could say the work or the struggle it took to get in to get my job, like the adversity I faced to say I'm walking away. That was a big move.
Thank you. Having spent so much years on Earth right now, share one most valuable lesson that you've learned.
Just be nice.
Hmm.
Just be nice to people. Just be nice. I know it's simple, but just be nice.
Thank you. That's very good because I've not, sometimes I get to hear very flamboyant words,
Mhm.
which I appreciate and I learn from it. But this is simple. Just be nice.
Just
Do
be
you know
nice.
how difficult it is for to be
Just be
nice
nice.
at
Just
times?
be nice. Just smile and be nice. Just be nice. Just smile and
Yeah.
be nice.
Yes. So if at this moment you had all the tools and resources you wanted to do anything you desired, what would you do?
It's a couple. It's not. It does have to be just one thing.
No, no, no.
So I'm a firm believer in unattached giving. So so right now in Sierra Leone, we're almost done with the computer lab that we're building, and then we're gonna at a school that I sponsored, and then also too we're gonna be supplying running water. I will be buying up as much real estate and land in Africa as possible, everything, and focusing on building. I don't want to call it businesses like institutions. Here we go, institutions where my family for generations can eat.
Building a legacy.
There you go.
What
There you
about
go.
your project? Your project. Tell me about your project in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, so it's the Albert Hollis Computer Lab, named after my dad.
Mhm.
So it's the structure's pretty much done. Um, Furniture is there. We have to get about 10 more, like five more laptops, five more computers, and we're good to go. And then as far as the water at the school, we're putting in, they're gonna have running water. So little things like that. I'm very big on sustainability, and
Okay.
I'm very big on, making an impact on the continent, not just showing up and give me, give me, give me, give me, because I mean sometimes especially with Black Americans, it's more of a look, it wasn't our choice to be kidnapped and sold, and brought to America. So when we come back, you guys owe us. Where the free land at? I'm
It's
like, nah, it's still. I'm like, well, it needs to. It still needs to be a win-win for
mm,
everybody. It needs to be a win-win. So what? How can I contribute to the
yeah.
content? Instead of me just coming and my ancestors came from here, so just gimme, 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 gimme. You
Yes, you,
know,
you talked about the better, I think, in your
right, right, but it still needs to be a win-win. It's a birthright, but it still needs to be a win-win for everybody.
yes, yes. And when I'm referring to it now, it's based on how you're explaining that you need to give value. And that's
Got to give value.
yeah,
Got to give
that's
value.
very good approach. And are you incorporating that somehow into your tour, into your business, into the people, taking the people along into your process of giving value, making them understand why that is?
Right. So when I would, this was November of last. Oh, we're already in 2024. So this is November 2022.
Yeah.
I took a group to Sierra Leone, and I took them to, I always take them to Bo, Sierra Leone. That's where my midday side is from. And so we visit my village, and then we go to the school, and I show the people like everything I'm doing, and they're like, okay, so I can see you're actually the money we're giving you, you're
Yeah.
putting it back, circulating it back into the community.
Mm.
So they see that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was Bold with Joe, and my guest was Prince Dynast Abefe Adewale Amir.